Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon Frayne. We are back talking about real-world asset tokenization in today's video. Make sure you drop a thumbs up below if you enjoy the content today. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Smash the bell notification icon. And just before we jump into the content, make sure you grab your completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin. It's linked below this video. Yes, you can get the entire book for free in the description below this video, so make sure you grab it. And let's talk about real world asset tokenization. So this narrative and this particular sector in the crypto space has been one of the best, if not almost the best performing narrative over the entire past 365 days. We're going to be looking at some of the data points on that specifically, but one of the dashboards that I love to use is over here on RWA.xyz. We can see it presents us with a whole host of data and information about RWA and real world asset tokenization. We can see, jumping into stablecoins, just how much stablecoins have been minted here over the course of the past number of months. Look at this parabolic action for stablecoins in particular, moving almost vertically to the upside since essentially Q4 of last year. So things are really ramping up in terms of stablecoin production. And if we go back to the previous cycle here, the last time we really saw stablecoins moving up in a vertical fashion, i.e. the minting of stablecoins and the tokenization of the US dollar on chain, we really saw that happening throughout the entirety of 2021. And that was a very, very strong bull market during the entire course of that year. Those of you who were here at that time, we had that peak in April with the price of Bitcoin before a pullback in the summer. And then another move towards the end of the year for Bitcoin price getting up as high as $69,000. So I do think this is very interesting to see how much we are moving up in a vertical fashion with minting of stablecoins and the tokenization of stablecoins on chain. I do think with this new task force and the crypto czar in the United States, with the new presidential administration, we are going to be seeing some favorable regulation for stablecoins in the next couple of months from what I'm hearing. So I think we could be seeing stablecoins as a potential catalyst for a lot more liquidity to be flowing into the crypto space, and for a lot of cross-border settlements and remittances to be happening with stablecoins, which is going to bring a lot of institutional players, businesses, and a lot of large capital into the crypto space. And again, from there, a lot of speculation might begin to happen. We don't know. We have to wait and see, but definitely a nice trend to see the tokenization of stablecoins moving vertical, and the correlation with what happened in 2021. We could be in for an interesting price action for the rest of this year in 2025. We're also seeing the tokenization of US treasuries. Again, if I jump over here, we can check out the BlackRock Biddle Fund. If we zoom in here, seeing what was happening back in March when the BlackRock Biddle Fund launched here, they had about $40 million of tokenized US treasuries. That's grown by a factor of more than 10x. We've now got the Biddle Fund with over $641 million of tokenized treasuries on chain, and Ethereum being the main blockchain of choice for BlackRock and their Biddle Fund, and for the vast majority of tokenized US treasuries as well. So if we look at the market cap breakdown, you can see, again, the vast majority of this happening on Ethereum from a tokenized treasury standpoint. You've also got the likes of Solana, Avalanche, Aptos, Arbitrum, Stellar as the other big players here when it comes to the tokenization of US treasuries specifically. And just a few weeks ago at Davos, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, was literally calling for the SEC to give us more regulation in terms of regulatory clarity for the tokenization of stocks as well. Again, there is a stocks area over here on RWA.xyz, but I think there's very limited amounts of tokenization happening with stocks at the moment, mainly due to that lack of clarity from a regulatory perspective. So I think what you're going to see is BlackRock, Larry Fink, and all of these large institutional players calling and putting pressure on the SEC and this new presidential team to essentially give more clarity for stablecoins, give more clarity for the tokenization of stocks, bonds, treasuries, etc. The treasuries are already off to a flying start, but I think if we get more clarity on the tokenization of stocks, we're going to be seeing the entire stock market moving on chain over the coming decade, and that's going to be a huge catalyst and driver for growth over the next 5 to 10 years. Again, I do often reference this particular study from Roland Berger, which is essentially projecting how we're going to see growth over the next number of years with real world asset tokenization specifically. And again, you can see on this chart, here we are in 2025 with somewhere between $500 billion and $1 trillion worth of tokenized assets on chain. That is due to grow to over 10 trillion, approaching $11 trillion worth of tokenized assets on chain by the time we get to 2030. And according to Roland Berger, they're estimating the vast majority of that will be happening in real estate, debt, and investment funds. So things like bonds, treasuries, etc., that we were just looking at. And they're projecting a phenomenal amount of growth, essentially 10 to 11x growth over the course of the next 5 years for tokenization of real world assets on blockchain technology. Again, if we look over at DeFi Llama, we can check out what's actually been happening here. I've come over to the narrative tracker on DeFi Llama. If you zoom out and look at the past 365 days, what you're seeing here, what the data is telling us is that the real world assets narrative has been one of the best performing narratives from a price action perspective and from a returns perspective over the past 1 year in the crypto space, second only to meme coins. And it's not even that much of a difference on a percentage basis, up 611% over compared to 672% for meme coins. Obviously, they're pretty big numbers, but there are much more meme coins in that basket compared to real world asset tokens, but still real world asset tokenization as a real world use case for crypto. Again, you can argue meme coins are much, much more speculative, which they are when you're having real world assets, almost like the polar opposite to meme coins from a utility perspective. You're functionally actually tokenizing real world assets that can be swap traded, made much more liquid and efficient when they're using blockchain technology. So kind of polar end opposites of the spectrum here, but real world assets, literally one of the best performing narratives over the past 1 year time frame. And again, when you look at the tokens that are part of this real world asset narrative, you've got leaders like Ondo and Mantra and a whole bunch of smaller protocols like Clearpool, Chex, Chintai, etc. and more. Drop me a comment below, guys. Do you want updated videos on Ondo, Mantra, and some of the smaller real world asset tokenization protocols? Please drop me a comment. Let me know if you want more videos on those specifically. And I do like to get multiple sources of data. So if you jump over to this Artemis terminal, we can also see here when we compare the sector performance is what they refer to them as over here on Artemis. Again, I've zoomed out to the past 1 year time frame, and we can clearly see real world assets being the best performing narrative according to the Artemis terminal. Now, granted, there are much less tokens included in their basket of real world asset protocols when it comes to the way they're categorizing them compared to the DeFi Llama narrative tracker. But for all intents and purposes, I just wanted to make the point that real world asset tokenization and the real world asset narrative is one of the best performing narratives over the past 365 days. And if you're thinking about where this space is going, if you're thinking about making investment decisions, again, this is not financial advice, but you want to be tracking the narratives that are outperforming others, and the real world asset narrative is clearly one of the narratives that continues to outperform given this movement we're seeing from large institutional investors and players to tokenize treasuries, bonds, private credit, commodities, institutional funds, and very soon large amounts of stocks on blockchain technology with blockchains like Ethereum, Arbitrum, Solana, Aptos, Avalanche. Super exciting stuff happening here. You can see some of the top entities or protocols that are being used. Ondo, which we mentioned, Hashnote, Securitize, Wisdom Tree, OpenEden, Spyco, Centrifuge, one of the small to medium size real world asset protocols in this space. So I think we're going to see huge amounts of growth with this particular narrative over the next 10 years, especially if we get greater clarity on regulation for those institutions to proceed with the tokenization of stocks and the entire stock market. Again, you can track all of this over on RWA.xyz yourself, guys. We're seeing the tokenization of commodities like gold, silver, etc., private credit, global bonds, and obviously US treasuries being a huge use case here over the past year, as we've seen the growth of the BlackRock Biddle Fund and many other funds in line with that. So that's it for today's video, guys. I just wanted to make the point that you should be paying attention to the best performing narratives and possibly paying attention to real world asset tokenization, because it has been one of the best performing narratives over the past year. Let me know if you want an updated video on some of those top RWA protocols. I've covered it many times on the channel, but maybe we can do an updated video of our top 3 or top 5 RWA protocols. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button on your way out the door. It would mean the world if you got even an ounce of value out of this video. Please give it a thumbs up before you leave. Smash that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon as well. And like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to grab your completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin. It's linked below the video in the description. Grab it now, and we'll catch you in the next one.